All right, good morning. I hereby call this meeting to order. Secretary, please call the roll.
Do we wait for him?
Mr. Coburn is joining virtually.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, good, very good.
Mr.
Welcome,
Grimsley?
Bob.
Here.
Mr. Shannon?
Here.
Mr. Freimiller?
Here.
Mr. Dyson?
Here.
Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. LaForge?
Here.
Mr. Junk?
Here.
Mr. Peterson?
Here. Very good. And my records indicate we don't have any special announcements or presentations, okay? Other than to recognize our friend Bobby Stem with the AGC. Welcome, Bobby. Yeah, please stand. Yes. Every now and then I like to mention that while we commissioners seem like an amiable lot, we all meet prior to this meeting with our subcommittees. And we all just concluded that participation. And so these matters are dived into quite deeply in those subcommittee meetings, but I just like everyone to remember that periodically. Item 145 is approval of the minutes of the Transportation Commission meeting on September 11th, 2023. Do I have a motion for approval of item 145?
So move, Grimsley.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second, Dyson.
Second, Dyson. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
I will abstain.
Okay? The measure passes, 7 to no, and 1 abstention. Thank you. Consent docket contains items 146 through 150. If any commissioner would like to pull an individual item out for discussion, he may do so at this time. Otherwise, I'll hear a motion for approval of the consent docket.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And do I have a second?
Second, LaForge.
Thank you. And any discussion? No. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Yes.
Thank you. It is unanimous. The motion passes. Item 151 is a programming item. Mr. Tegler, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Mr. Secretary. Item 151, programming item this month. This is in Commission District 8 in Tulsa County. Department requests approval to program a project to repair vehicle impact damage to Union Avenue Bridge over US 64. The estimated cost of this project is $510,000 using state aid funds. This project can be ready for a February 2024 letting, and the party responsible for the damage is known. Approval is recommended. Answer any questions if you have any this morning.
All right, thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 151?
So move, Grimsley.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Shannon. And any discussion? Commissioners, please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Thank you very much. Item 152 is engineering contracts. Mr. Tegler, you're recognized to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 parts this month on our engineering contracts. They are all project specific, and all these projects and the JPs are shown are in the 8-year construction work plan. Part A is District 1, Okmulgee County. Department has selected H.W. Lochner to prepare construction plans for US 266. Proposed project improvements are adding shoulders to a 2-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $545,515. Part B is in District 6 in Beaver County. The department has selected MKEC Engineering to prepare construction plans for US 270. The proposed project improvements are adding shoulders to a 2-lane road. Total not to exceed amount is $2,522,680. Part C is District 8 in Creek County. The department has selected Jacobs Engineering Group to provide preliminary engineering and prepare construction plans for our city bridges in Drumright. The proposed project improvements are replacing bridges on existing alignment. Total not to exceed amount is $468,468. I would also like to add that these bridges were 2 of 11 of the off-system structural deficient bridges approved by our Bridge Formula Program funding at our April commission meeting just this year. Try to answer any questions if you have any this morning.
Thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 152?
LaForge, so moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Grimsley, second.
Grimsley, second. Thank you. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
The motion passes 8-0. Thank you. Item 136 is engineering contract supplements. Mr. Tigler, you are recognized to continue.
Okay, this is item number 153, engineering contract supplements. They have 2 parts, and both of these are all districts and statewide. Part A is our creation of low distortion projections for the state of Oklahoma. Department previously selected half associates to provide the design for the Oklahoma Regional Coordinate System. The total aggregate increase for this contract supplement is $1,600. Part B is our on-demand cultural resources inventory, the NRHP evaluations and mitigation proposals. This is our archaeological contract. The department previously selected 6 firms to provide this service. We are only supplementing 1 firm at this time. It's Integrated Environmental Solutions. Total aggregate increase for this contract supplement is $300,000. Approval is recommended. Answer any questions if you have any this morning.
It's a tiny amount of money, but what is a low distortion projection?
Well, the National Geodetic Survey, NGS, basically we're rezoning the state of Oklahoma. We have 21 different zones now. You can kind of look at it as 21 counties, but it's made up of, obviously, the whole state. So we're doing this to make more accuracy for our surveying, and that's what this is all about. In 2024, if I'm not mistaken, I think most, if not all the states are supposed to be going this direction. So what they're doing for this supplement, they changed their, their zone criteria. So they had to do some additional calculations to make it according to the NGS recommendations. So we had to get it up to speed. So I know.
Yeah.
They had to do some math.
Okay, all right. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 153?
So moved.
Second, Alexander.
That was Commissioner Shannon and Alexander. And any discussion? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Coburn, yes.
And Coburn, Mr. Coburn, thank you. Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Item 154 is change orders with a cumulative total of $75,000 or less. This is for information only. Mr. Leonard, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'd like to present item number 154, parts A through Q. These are change orders on projects which have a cumulative total of change orders of $75,000 or less. This item is presented for information only and no action is necessary, but I'd certainly be glad to answer any questions.
If there are no questions, Mr. Leonard, you're recognized to present item 155, change orders with a cumulative total greater than $75,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 155, parts A through P. These are change orders on projects which have a cumulative total of change orders greater than $75,000. Your approval is recommended, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
And you've heard that presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item?
I have a question.
Pardon me.
What is rubblized concrete pavement?
That's where we take a pneumatic device out there and break it up and get it into smaller pieces.
Then what?
Well, then we can use it for base course, we can use it for riprap. It depends on what size that we
Okay.
use.
I just noticed I've never heard of rubblized concrete pavement. But can you make a finished surface out of it without picking it up?
Arkansas did that on I-40. They rubblized all the PC pavement over there and then overlaid it with asphalt. So, I mean, you can beat it and break it into pieces and then overlay it with something else.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
All right, now, you've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 155?
Motion, Dyson.
Thank you. In a second.
Second, John.
And any discussion? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Thank you. Item 156 is the Asset Preservation Plan and is for information only. Mr. Wen, you are recognized to present, and may I make a comment before you begin that, oh, excuse me, I'm going to make that remark a little bit later. Sorry. Please proceed.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm here to present item 156, the Asset Preservation Plan. The department has completed the proposed asset preservation plan with consideration for the critical needs of Oklahoma's transportation infrastructure and the financial constraint mandated by the projected federal and state funding availability. The work plan is balanced by district within the budgetary limitations of state fiscal years 2024 through 2027. The encompassed projects have been defined, validated, and included in accordance with the transportation needs and priorities of the state. This item is for information only, but happy to answer any questions.
And if there are no questions, you're recognized to present item 157, the 8-year construction work plan, where I was going to add my 2 cents that every commissioner has been visited by the secretary and by the Chief Taylor, 2 other senior people with ODOT to go over, in particular, our areas of projects accelerated or delayed, and hour-and-a-half, 2-hour meetings with each one of us. It was very beneficial, and I appreciate it greatly, so thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Item 157 is the 8-year construction work plan. The department has completed the proposed 8-year construction work plan with consideration for the critical needs of Oklahoma's transportation infrastructure and the financial constraint mandated by the projected federal and state funding availability. In addition to the state's Rebuilding Oklahoma Access and Driver Safety, or ROADS funds, this year's plan includes an additional $200 million in Rural Economic Transportation Reliability and Optimization, or RETRO funds, for the largest work plan in ODOT history. This historic appropriation from the Oklahoma legislature represents the largest single one-time appropriation to the department. The work plan is balanced by district within the budgetary limitations of federal fiscal years 2024 through 2031. The encompassed projects have been defined, validated, and included in accordance with the transportation needs and priorities of the state. The department will ensure the long-term budgetary integrity of the plan and the continuity of the projects through the active management of the project development and delivery process. Commission approval of the 2024 through 2031 construction work plan is recommended. Happy for any questions.
You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 157?
I approve.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Alexander.
Second, Alexander. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to be
Please.
recognized on that. I do want to echo the gratitude to the legislature. I believe this represented some creative thinking and problem solving, and I'm really excited to see what the retro fund will do. I think we're going to have to embrace a whole lot more of this type of creative thinking in the future, because as we know, we have a road network that's many years behind in all sorts of ways. So hopefully we'll see more of this, but we really do want to thank the legislature for their work.
Well, and we have one to thank in person. I understand Representative Nicole Miller is here. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for what we hope is your support. All right, that was our discussion. Ready to cast our vote, please. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 8-0. Thank you very much. Item 158 is proposed bid openings. Mr. Hackney, you're recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Item 158, proposed bid openings, consists of the final November 2023 and the tentative January 2024 bid openings. The department recommends approval.
And you've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 158?
Freimuller approve.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Dyson.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Thank you. Item 159 is fiscal year 2024 budget revisions. Ms. Helmuth, you're recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Agenda item 159 is for the FY 2024 budget revisions, and it has 4 parts. And as was mentioned in the June commission meeting, the budget work program may require revisions throughout the year. This is one of the first one. Subpart A is an increase of the highway program using fourth quarter redistribution, new grants, and carryover funds in an amount of $105,689,174. A2 consists of state funds for the highway program in the amount of $31,251,717. Part B requests an increase for the highway maintenance program utilizing state carryover funds in an amount of $24,936,138. Part C is an increase to the right-of-way program in the amount of $90 million, and this is a request to rebudget prior year reserves, and it consists of both federal and state funds. And then Part D is a request to increase the budget for Lake and Industrial Access Program with utilizing state carryover funds in the amount of $5,026,000. The department requests and recommends approval of this item.
All right. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 159?
Motion, Dyson.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Commissioner Shannon, seconds. Any discussion? All right. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Thank you. Voting ended. Passes 8-0. Thank you, Ms. Hilmes. Item 160 is awards. Mr. Dels, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, item 160 will be our recommendations from the September bid openings. Part A are the recommendations from the September 14th bid opening. It is recommended that the following items from the September 14th bid opening referred to by call order be awarded. Call orders 400, 410, 415, 420, 425, 435, 440, 455, 460, 465, 470, 475, 480, 485, and 490. Part B are our recommendations from the September 21st bid opening. It is recommended that the following items from the September 21st bid opening referred to by call order be awarded. Call orders 500, 506, 512, 524, 542, 569, 572, 578, 590, and 596. This concludes the recommendations for awards, and approval is requested.
Thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 160?
So moved, Grimsley.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Junk.
Second, Commissioner Junk. Thank you. Any discussion? All right, Commissioners, please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item 161 is the Director's Report. Secretary Gatz, you are recognized to present.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, very much appreciate your consideration and approval this morning of the 8-year construction work plan, and certainly the asset preservation plan is something that's also very important to us. Not many years ago, there was no such thing as an asset preservation plan. It has been a difference maker in helping us address life cycle issues on the highway system and accomplish some things that we weren't able to accomplish without that commitment of resources. The 8-year construction work plan this year, once again, the district engineers and their insight into the highway system that they're responsible for and the folks that work for them, what they bring to the table is data-driven, is focused based on our priorities: bridge infrastructure, rural 2-lane highways, pavement condition, safety. And they've done a really good job of keeping our construction work plan balanced fiscally constrained, which has been an extraordinary challenge this year. And I'm very proud of where we are, and I'm very proud of them for the job that they do every day. Commissioner Grimsley, I would absolutely second your comments about the support of the legislature. The retro funding that was provided this year has been an absolute difference maker. And where at one time we may have envisioned that it would help us accelerate some projects, I'm going to tell you without hesitation, we were able to accelerate some, but it kept some very critical projects on the path to construction in a inflationary environment that was challenging for us to manage. So again, without those retro dollars, we would have had a little bit different 8-year plan that we would have been presenting to you this morning. So from conception of the 8-year plan to today, it has absolutely been predicated on the addition of resources. So the legislature has been very supportive. Governors, both past and present, have been extremely supportive of the work we're accomplishing on the 8-year construction work plan, and this is one, again, we're very proud of. In that same breath, I'll tell you that there are things that we need to be very concerned about and we need to be attentive to. One of those on the federal front is related to our highway bill. And again, we are in year 2, imagine that, of this thing called EJA that rolled up our highway bill, our typical 5-year highway bill. And now is the time to begin to talk about what's next. And I think it's going to be very important for us to regain the focus that the highway bill and that 5-year piece of legislation has brought. Because again, our transportation bill, our highway bill has always been bipartisan. It's always been focused, and it's always focused on good policy at whatever time it was. So I think it's going to be increasingly important for us to regain that focus coming out of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that maybe we lost a little bit of whenever it became a part of something much bigger than just transportation. So again, I'm going to begin to talk about that more because I think it's important for our future. I also would tell you that the Highway Trust Fund is not funding the outlays from our transportation infrastructure bill, our highway bill component of EJA, at the level that it used to. You know, it's only covering 55–60% of all the outlays, especially in light of the plus-up revenue that were included in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And I believe that we're going to have to really pay attention to whether we believe those funding levels are sustainable for the long term. We're projecting across 8 years. We only have 3 years of EJA left. So we'll have to have some hard discussions, really be attentive to what's going on in Washington, D.C., and certainly I think that's going to require more focus right now than maybe it has at times in the past. So we really need to be looking out for that. On the state front, again, gratitude for the legislature's continued support with the retro funds, but I'm going to tell you it also is going to require a conversation about our roads fund in general. And what does the future of the roads fund look like? Is there an opportunity maybe to increase the cap on the roads fund and start another growth cycle where we progressively make additional investments in our infrastructure for the future? And to Commissioner Grimsley's point again, our infrastructure, we've got a $60+ billion asset out there that has a $20 billion backlog of recognized need today. And what that translates to is we know what needs to be done in this 8-year plan, which is about almost $9 billion, the next 8-year plan, and the 8-year plan after that. So we're always chasing the deterioration curve and the investment needs. So we need to really continue that conversation. I think the thing that really puts an exclamation point on that where we are today is the inflationary pressure that we've realized over the last 2 or 3 years, which has been extraordinary. but no less something that we have to be attentive to. And one of the ways to overcome that is to find ways to continue to invest at an increasing level in our infrastructure. And that'll bode well for the safety of the traveling public and commerce in our economy for the future. So again, I appreciate very much your support, Commissioners. I appreciate the time that you devote to being attentive to what's going on in your districts every day, but especially as we enter the rebalancing process for the 8-year plan. So I thank you for taking time to sit down with us, and more than that, the time that you spend communicating with your district engineers throughout the course of the year. So, talk a little bit about the continuing resolution that was passed by the Congress on Saturday. If you would have asked me at midnight on Friday night whether or not we were going to have a government shutdown or a continuing resolution, I probably would have told you without hesitation we're headed for a shutdown. Through the work of the Congress over the weekend, we have a continuing resolution for 45 days. What that will translate for the Department of Transportation, that brings about $98 million in our fiscal year 2024 federal revenue. That sounds like a big number, but it's not in the context of our business, and it also comes in several different pots. So it's better than starting with a shutdown, but it also is going to require that we be very deliberate about the commitment of those federal dollars as we go forward, because we don't know whether we'll get an appropriations bill at the end of this or if we will be looking at additional continuing resolutions. In a shutdown environment, I would have stood here in front of you today and talked about probably delaying our November construction letting. We will have a November letting. The qualifier is that the tentative letting that was presented to you this morning may require some adjustments based on our better understanding of our funding availability this year, so that may probably go up or down just a little bit, more than likely down. So just want to make sure that everybody is understanding of that and the nature of our priorities that's going to be required as we go forward here across the course of the next 45 days. So I'd, Mr. Chairman, pause there, see if we've got any questions from the commission or comments.
Don't see any brewing.
Okay. Up and coming projects, Interstate 235 and a bridge rehab here in Oklahoma City. That one is about a $4 million rehab that's going to include several bridges. I-40 on I-235 over I-40, Reno Avenue and the Pacific Railroad. That's literally right outside the building here, just not too far away. And the reason we want to call this to everybody's attention is the traffic impact that that's going to have as we put that project under construction. About a 90-day project. It's going to move very quickly. It'll be incentivized, is incentivized for completion as fast as possible, but you do not replace bridge joints, and if you've driven through there lately, the joints hit pretty hard. So it's desperately needed, well conceived, but it will be disruptive from a traffic standpoint. So we want to make sure that that's firmly on the travel and public's radar. We ask for their attention in the work zone, and we ask for their patience while we make that improvement. Because again, the volume of traffic that is carried through that interchange and those across those bridges is significant, and especially at peak periods. So we're going to need the travel and public's help. We have a bridge on US 270, just a little bit south of near Calumet. It's over 6 Mile Creek south of town. That one is expected to start early next year, and looks like it's about an 8-month-long project. Once again, call that to everybody's attention because that is another work zone that we need to be on the lookout for. A project that's a little bit unique, State Highway 10 and bank protection in Cherokee County. That is a nearly $8 million project to reinforce the Illinois River embankment on State Highway 10 between Tahlequah and the Delaware County line. That one won't be tremendously disruptive to traffic, but it's very unique because of the sensitivity of the Illinois River and that watershed. We've worked very hard with the Grand River Dam Authority and Scenic Rivers in the planning stages and made sure that we're accommodating their needs. So, good project, a little bit of a unique one. And then lastly, US 283 and resurfacing. That'll add shoulders in Roger Mills County on 283, about $13.7 million project in the Cheyenne area. And again, that's just another work zone that we're going to need to be careful in, starting in the spring of 2024, about a 10-month-long duration. One of the things that kind of fits in that same box, and I appreciate your consideration and approval this morning of a bridge, structurally deficient bridge in District 5. The significance of that is with the award of that structurally deficient bridge in District 5, it's the last one in District 5. There has never been a time in my career when we could stand in front of the Transportation Commission and advise you that a district has no more structurally deficient bridges. So once that's completed, it comes off of the structurally deficient list. We've got to manage our infrastructure because there are others that are going to be inspected between now and then. But there's never been a time when I can stand in front of the commission and tell you that you just awarded the last structurally deficient bridge contract in District 5. Good. That's something that certainly the Department of Transportation and the people that we get to work with every day have done a fantastic job on. Every Oklahoman should be proud of where we are today with our bridge infrastructure and how far we've come, because they've all been a part of it. We've got a little bit of a video update, I think, that we're going to try to run here, and that was from a groundbreaking in Guyman on US 54, and that was significant. Commissioner Alexander was able to join us along with Representative Patskowski, the chief engineer, and now retired Ron McDaniel. So the District 6 guys, this is a great project. Guyman, Highway 54, heavily traveled route across the Panhandle, high volume of truck traffic, and a project that it's already widened, so it's not a widening or add capacity project, but what it does is replace a pavement that was at the end of its life cycle. An investment in the future of the Panhandle and the future of Guyman and the future of the state of Oklahoma. So we were very appreciative to be a part of that with the community. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you haven't been out to Guyman lately, it is going on out there. It's a thriving community. They've got a tremendous economic process that's going, and Highway 54 carries a lot of traffic. So again, congratulations to Guyman on that project. Appreciate District 6 and the work that they did to get it ready and deliver it. And once again, that's another example of a long-term investment in Oklahoma's future. Put something else on your radar, Commissioner Grimsley, on US 69 in the Calera-Durant area. We hit a major milestone in the month of September and put traffic on the main line. Congratulations to Anthony E. Kelly and his team for the work that they've done down there, along with our contractor partners. And really excited about that. There's a little bit of additional work to do to get that project polished up. But I bring it up because that will be a ribbon cutting in the not-too-distant future that's significant. And once again, another example of an investment that checked all of the boxes. It checked the access box and the need and safety. The Choctaw Road intersection was one of the highest accident, highest fatality rates, certainly in District 2, and one of the highest in the state. So again, that project addressed that problem. It's a continuation in investing in the 69 corridor to try to make it what it needs to be, because it's not today. It can serve us much better in the future, and we're going to have to continue to find ways to invest to make sure we're going to accommodate the developing traffic. And we talked extensively about Oklahoma and how we're impacted by the growth that's being experienced south of the Red River, and quite frankly, how we're being impacted by our own growth. So again, we've got to continue to find ways to invest in that corridor. I would close with a little bit of a safety campaign message related to work zone awareness. This month, we're putting a emphasis on work zones and crashes, traffic fatalities that are increasing not just in Oklahoma but nationwide. The data in Oklahoma shows that drivers and passengers are far more likely than workers to lose their lives in crashes inside of work zones. And one of the simplest ways to avoid a fatality in a crash is to wear your seatbelt. And that is irrelevant whether that's in a work zone or not. We still rank 40th in the nation for seatbelt use, and we've got to improve those statistics because that in itself will cut our fatalities. In the past 5 years, 91 people, including one ODOT worker, were killed, and 1,294 people were injured in more than 7,000 collisions in Oklahoma work zones. While 2022 data is still coming in, 5 people were killed and 81 were injured in 273 collisions in work zones through May of 2022. A lot of those crashes involve commercial motor vehicles, and we're one of the leaders in the nation in commercial motor vehicle crashes. And again, we've got to continue our work to try to make a difference there where we can. There are a lot of things that factor into that. Driver attention certainly is a big part of it. But beyond that, just observing the posted speed limit. Certainly something as simple as slowing down and paying attention when you see the orange and black signs in those orange barrels. So we're going to need the Travel and Public's help to continue to make a difference in our safety rate, and certainly buckle up. Gosh, that's something that's so simple that you can do that may just save your life. Mr. Chairman, once again, congratulations to the commission and all the districts and on the passage of the 8-year construction work plan today. Extremely excited for the investments that are represented there, and I would stand for any questions that the commission may have of me.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Any questions or comments for
I have
Secretary?
a quick story I'd like to tell, kind of tied to Calera. So we had a French reporter visit us last summer, flew into DFW and drove up to cover our emerging aviation program, do kind of a feature story about it. And the story came out, and the translation from French is actually kind of interesting. This was before the upper deck opened in Calera, but she said, coming from Texas, where you drive on velvet, the old highways of Oklahoma show their age. So I'm really hoping when we officially open this that we've achieved velvet status, and I think we have. But anyway, that's all.
That's funny. All right, very good. All right. Thank you, Secretary Gatz.
Thank you,
Thank you
Commissioners.
very much. Commissioners have no other comments, then I'd hear a motion for item 162, which is adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second, LaForge.
Second, LaForge. Do any discussion? Sound like it? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Coburn, you please announce your vote.
Coburn, yes.
Measure passes 8-0. We are adjourned.